Hello and welcome to London360, the news feature show that keeps you in the know about everything that's happening here in the capital. You can catch us here weekly, or you can watch the show anytime and get involved online at communitychannel.org/London360. And keep up with all the action behind the scenes by following us on social media. Don't go anywhere because we've got some exciting and wonderful stories lined up. From the flipping of pancakes in Victoria Tower Gardens to the journey of up-and-coming young London fashion designers. So, to kick off the show, how are Londoners helping the plight of Asiatic Lions? Jordaan Shelley felt the heat as she took part in a firewalk with fearless fundraisers to raise money for a breeding centre in the heart of London Zoo.
Tonight, ZSL London Zoo is hosting quite literally the hottest event of the year, with members of the public taking part in a firewalk to raise money for the Asiatic Lions campaign.
We've got about 40 people engaged tonight, so that's pure dedication to a cause there. The money we're going to raise tonight, it goes to supporting the conservation work out in India, and then we're building a brand new exhibit and a home for Asiatic lions here in the heart of London. And it's a great way that we can engage with over 1 million people that visit our zoos every year. And if we can get that message about how people can live in harmony with wildlife across to the conservationists of the future, we know we can make a huge difference and carry on raising money for this great cause as well. Zoos are essential to the global conservation of wildlife. There are so many animals that have gone extinct in the wild now because their habitats have just been taken away from them. The Asiatic lion used to range all the way from Turkey across into India, and now we're restricted to just 500 lions left in the wild in one small forest in Gujarat in India. So we're working with the Gujarat Forest Department and the partners out in India to make sure we can protect that last bastion of lions that are left in the wild. All it takes is a flood or a disease outbreak. So we're making sure we train vets out there in the wild to make sure they can handle that, because we don't want to see them go extinct.
To get people to walk across a glowing fire pit at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, it takes a special type of motivation.
I enable people to do things which they think are impossible. And it's not just about walking on the hot coals as you've seen. It's about facing fears, understanding what those fears are, and we all have them, but then how to overcome them. We had a bit of fun, we did some silly stuff to just emphasise the embarrassment, the comfort zones, and then we did practical stuff, breaking boards with hands, breaking arrows on throats. People that had never done it before were queuing up to do it, and it puts them in the right frame of mind, so when they come down to the fire, I don't need to do any more work, they're already there. And as you can see, they walk more than once, some 2, 3, 4 times, because it's a great, charity event. We're here to raise money for lions, and that's what we've done, and everybody did it.
They prep you so much that I broke a piece of wood with my bare hands before, so I think by the time I actually got to the fire, I thought, you just broke, a piece of wood with your bare hands. Of course you can walk on fire. And this is really the mentality I think that they're trying to implant in you.
I love ZSL. I love everything they do for conservation and the animals, and I particularly have a big love for big cats and lions.
I've done stuff with the tigers before. I did a streak last year for them, and I just love wildlife. It's an incredible experience, very much mind over matter, and you get a real buzz from it. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Imagine a world of news that wasn't written by your average journalist, with all the doom and gloom, but instead by children, creating their own headlines about how they see the world, free from spin. Laurelle Campbell met a group of students from London doing just that.
London is a city of great diversity and great spirit. It's also a city which is incredibly divided socioeconomically, with 37% of children living below the poverty line. We have a situation where children from those backgrounds have low levels of self-esteem and feel less in control of their success at school.
The Student View is an online journalism blog written by students for students, giving them the opportunity to share their views about current and contemporary affairs. It is now running across 6 schools in 6 different London boroughs.
I felt that I needed more help with my English.
A lot of my students weren't performing particularly well, and I was quite worried as a first teacher about what I was doing. So I thought, what better way than to get them to actually write about articles that are important to them as young Londoners and share them with their peers on an online blog.
This project encourages and challenges students to always write positively and topically about issues that they are passionate about.
Some of the topics I've written about are internet safety. I've written about global warming and how cow farts contribute to that.
I've done an article about LGBT rights in America and the UK. My mum has a lot of friends who go through things like that in America, and it made me feel that I had to write about it because it was so close to home.
I'm most proud of my neuromorphic chips article because at the beginning I couldn't figure out how to write it and it was very difficult for me. But after a while I managed to figure out how to put it and I was able to write a pretty good article.
When we first started it, they were quite reluctant to sort of sit down and write sometimes, but now they are very eager and know exactly what they need to do to get the job done. They're really determined because they can see the end goal, they can see it online.
In producing something that is something to be proud of, you can now become proud of yourself.
The Children's Society report in 2015 found that English school children are amongst the unhappiest in the world, with England ranking 14th out of 15 countries for life satisfaction and 11th for feeling positive about the future.
It's incredibly disheartening for young Londoners to be reading about stories, in particular regards to immigration and Islamophobia as well, which are kind of the contentious and contemporary issues that exist in our society now. And that has the tendency to make children from vulnerable backgrounds feel isolated.
The bias and the twist, because negative news sells and big numbers and big statistics sell, they are warping reality.
A lot of bad things are happening, but there's always a possibility that you could say it in a different way. By doing the articles, I can say it in a nice, positive way.
I enjoy the student view. It helps me express myself.
The confidence in the classroom extends beyond, and you've got confidence in the home life and the social life, and it all starts with being confident in who you are, what you can produce, and empowering these students to enable them to go out and make a change for themselves.
The student view has encouraged me to speak out about what I like a little more.
It gives a voice to the voiceless in that it gives a voice to young kids, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and what's going on in their lives.
It inspires me to try and do things that people wouldn't expect me to do. I'm trying to make a difference in my life, in other people's lives.
Here at London360, we love to give people a platform to have a say about their great city. So, we invite you to send us your stories, points of view, or even passionate rants. Sinai from Hammersmith and Fulham headed down to Shepherd's Bush Market to find out what locals make of planned redevelopments. Take it away, Sinai.
Hi, my name's Sinai Fleary and I live in Hammersmith and Fulham. I'm here today in Shepherd's Bush Market to find out what locals and market traders think about the plans to develop the market.
It has been here for over 100 years and is an important part of the community.
Oh, I just love the vibe, the community spirit.
Here you will find unique products, a bustling atmosphere, and of course, plenty of laughter. For some traders, the redevelopment plans are too much to bear.
We have been in Shepherd's Bush Market since 1990. This redevelopment company seem to be taking away the worth in every single direction. In terms of our lease, they wish to issue us something which is less secure, hasn't got the stability that we have in our leases.
Some traders have felt like they've had no choice but to pack up and leave the market and start over.
If you want to save Shepherd's Bush Market, make sure you sign the petition and log on to www.change.org. Uniqueness and quirkiness is what makes London.
Coming up after the break, we look at some of London's African contemporary artists, see how young Londoners get their first breaks in the fashion industry, and we witness a full-out war between press and MPs. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back to part 2 of London360, bringing you real and alternative stories from London's hidden communities. Now, some people think of masks or even wild animals when they hear about African art. However, there's a wave of artists right here in London doing things a little bit differently. Renal Felix took a closer look.
When people think of African art, they buy people in the marketplace with a village, with dogs, people cooking. The world has moved on and there are amazing things happening. The artworks which are in the exhibition, there isn't any of them which could be recognized as necessarily African.
African artists were given a platform to display their work at an exhibition hosted at the Africa Centre in January.
It's a movement towards African artists becoming more internationally known without losing their roots.
There's almost kind of this Anglo-African sort of bridge coming together. Everything you see in here is always painted from the impetus of wanting to paint rather than I must paint. Because on one hand, you'll have dialogue where people want to put you in a box. On the other hand, you have people that don't necessarily want to, because they are free to explore what each artist has to say.
It reminds me of my childhood when we used to have what then used to be called the Fulanis, right? I'm from Ghana, and they used to dress up in that sort of costume. You know? So I have some sort of affinity with men and horses, you see.
Passionate artists are using their work to challenge stereotypes and to reflect Africa's diverse culture.
There was a kind of expectation that they had to represent the place that they came from, not appropriate from a range of sources. African art, particularly the contemporary art scene, which in many ways is reflecting the dynamism, vibrancy of London, but it's also bringing elements from Africa and mixing them up in lots of interesting ways.
I work in metal, and I enjoy working with metal, and I understand that that isn't the automatic thing when people think of African contemporary art.
Not content with just contributing towards exhibitions, works by African artists can also be seen on the streets of London.
The work All the World Is Now Richer was shown in St. Paul's. I love it. I want more of my work to be part of the city.
Sakari's work draws influence from her African roots and infuses this with British culture.
I made a piece which is called The Cross We Bear, which also had the Union Jack, but this is a more positive one about the Union Jack. And the thing is that I love the fact that you can look at Denise Lewis, but you know, you can see that she's British, especially when she has the flag like Superwoman on her, but you want to ask the question, where are you from? So it's the extra layer that makes you British that is interesting, especially if you're a person of colour.
Anne Blankson-Hemans receives a variety of reactions to her work.
When people look at my work, you know, they tell me that they feel like they've never been there, but they can imagine what it's like. And that's because of the energy and the vibrancy. They have a perceived view as to what's African. They see these masks, they see a lot of abstract. When I paint even in London, that I tend to put a lot of that energy back into it, you know, I put the colour into it. So there's something that's, I think, almost inherent in me that I bring out onto the canvas when I paint. I don't think that living in London has changed the way I paint. I think if anything, I have put the way I paint into London.
London Fashion Week brought the very best designers from across the world to the capital. However, for young Londoners looking to break into the scene, things can be a little tougher. Yasmin Tambujaya Parhares caught up with 12 aspiring young designers trying to make their way.
I've got a strong interest in the fashion industry, but I haven't got any industry links, so it's hard to break through into an industry if you haven't got the right connections and you don't know the right people.
British fashion shines in the heart of its capital and for centuries has ensured inspirational pioneering. But the fashion industry appears to have some struggles with diversification, accessibility and sustainability.
There's all sorts of different challenges that each borough holds in London. Some people are further away from the creative industries and further away from employment in some boroughs. Some are very much up close to it. For example, in East London, a lot of young people see so much creativity going on around them, but they don't know what those jobs are and they don't know the people to get into those jobs.
Last year, the fashion industry contributed a staggering £26 billion to the UK economy. That's nearly £3 million an hour. In order to sustain the industry's growth and global attractiveness, enterprises in London such as Fashion Enter and Community Clothing provide young adults the skills to create their own clothing line from machines onto the scene. And new initiative Creativity Works Fashion offers 12 young Londoners a 6-week intensive programme packed with glam shows, fashion exhibitions, masterclasses and work experience around London's Fashion Week to give them access into employment.
The research says if you come from a disadvantaged background, it's that much harder. So we're about breaking down those barriers, increasing social mobility and giving young people a chance.
From a Muslim background, I've always felt as if fashion wasn't something that was accessible, to kind of look for something that would cater to my faith. But being here has shown me that fashion is something that's absolutely changing nowadays. Dolce & Gabbana released their Abaya collection, H&M featured a Muslim model in one of their campaigns, so it's nice to have a mainstream fashion cater to a lot more of a wider audience.
I have a graphic design background, but I didn't kind of know what it takes to do the garments from scratch. I was just working with different manufacturers from overseas.
The way it's going, we have an ageing workforce. All of our machinists are Bulgarian, Romanian, Polish or Chinese, so it shows there's a real lack of skills in this country. I think as well as the technical side, and anything to do with the business side of the industry is equally as important.
It's such a struggle for young designers to constantly be financing your collections and your presentations, and I think London is harder than ever now. And I think as well, although social media really helped me, I think we've got to a point now where it's not helping people because people are spending so much time on the internet, they're not meeting people, they're not connecting, and for me my network was so crucial.
Last year, the Creativity Works Fashion Pilot Scheme led to 80% of its participants going on to employment, further education or training.
After the pilot scheme, which it's been amazing since, I've been invited to lots of events. I get to meet people who have done it after me, and I also blog about fashion law because I have interest in law as well.
London is creating so many opportunities for young people, so I would say look into industries like A New Direction and the Prince's Trust and just say I'm interested in doing this and they will help you.
MPs, Lords and Press will be at loggerheads over the EU referendum happening in just 4 months' time. But this past fortnight, they've engaged in a rather different kind of battle. Using Pancakes, Lape Banjo witnessed all the action.
They're usually running the country and making laws, but today they're running a race around Victoria Tower Gardens and flipping pancakes. All for the charity Rehab. MPs, Lords and Press battle for the bragging rights which they've competed for since 1998.
MPs, peers and journalists pitting themselves against each other is great, clean or, well, messy fun really.
We put a little team together and we run around like idiots, flipping pancakes as we go, raising awareness and money.
Lords, MPs and the Press are racing for the charity Rehab that supports adults and children with a disability gain work and lead independent lives.
I had a terrible accident that basically took my life away, and Rehab helped me to build my self-esteem because my confidence was at rock bottom. It just helped to give me my life back, to get back into work, and I've done so much since Rehab.
Anything where people can have a laugh and raise the profile of an organisation is a good thing to be doing.
Oh, it's a real grudge between MPs and press, so we can get our own back for what they write about us in the papers.
There are pretty strict rules. Contestants must complete a lap of Victoria Tower Gardens without dropping their pancake. Pancakes are vigorously tossed in the air by members of each team as they batter around a racecourse, vying for the winner's title. So let's take a look at the team members. Coming along, we have the Members of Parliament, the House of Lords, and just behind them, we have the defending champions, the Press team. Here are a few tactics that the team plan to use to take them into the lead.
Cheat.
I'll be expecting a victory. We won last year, so I'm feeling confident. We've got a great team.
Our secret weapon is Sophie Ridge from Sky, because not a lot of people know this, but actually she very nearly became an Olympic runner. No, it's a complete lie.
I'm going to try and hit one of the MPs with this on the way round.
Without further ado,
let's get it started.
3, 2,
and the bass keeps running, running, and 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 everybody, let's get into it. Get stoked, get started, get started, get started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
And it's a marvellous win for the members of Parliament, who have finally snatched their title back for another year.
I thought because you had to do lots of tossing, I think the trick is always having a spare pancake. But I didn't say that.
If Sky hadn't been filming themselves all round, frankly, I think we might have had a slightly better.
We beat the House of Lords, we beat those chinless, entitled toffs in the upper house, and we ground them into dust.
Again! We won it again! Members of Parliament, we won it again!
Well, that's your lot for this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Want to find out more about any of the stories featured? Then head over to communitychannel.org/London360. Be sure to join in on the conversation and hit us up on social media. And remember, keep it 360.